She bumped into him at the airport. The single dad owned the plane she almost missed. She didn't even stop to look back. Brooke Calloway came around the corner of Terminal C at the velocity of someone who had already decided that whatever was in her path was someone else's problem. The collision happened in the middle of the concourse. Her shoulder, his arm, a coffee that had been full a second ago. It left his hand cleanly and hit the floor. So did a small coloring book. Crayons scattered across 4 feet of polished airport tile. "Watch where you're going," Brooke said. Still moving. "Some of us have planes to catch." She was 4 strides gone before the words finished landing. Her associate Derek Marsh stepped around the man in the mess without breaking stride. Behind them, the man crouched to gather the crayons. A girl with 2 braids and a stuffed penguin under one arm crouched beside him. "Is the lady okay?" the girl asked. "I think she's just in a hurry," the man said. He collected the last crayon, cerulean blue, rolled nearly to the wall, and placed it back in the small yellow box. He stood, looked once in the direction the woman had gone. "Ready?" he asked his daughter. "Ready," she said. She held up the penguin. "Mr. Finch says we should pray for her." "Mr. Finch is very charitable." They walked. What Brooke Calloway did not know, what she was moving too fast to understand, was that the private terminal at the far end of Concourse B operated under his name, that every aircraft parked there bore his company's logo, that the commercial flight she was sprinting to catch was about to be canceled, and the only available aircraft to her destination that morning would require his personal authorization to board. The man picking up his daughter's crayons was that authorization. His phone buzzed as he dropped the last crayon into the box. He glanced at it and answered. "Tell Claire I need the Meridian final assessment on my desk by noon," he said. "I'll make a call this afternoon." A pause. "Yes, Calloway. Brooke Calloway. Managing partner." He looked in the direction the woman had disappeared. A name on a pitch deck. Nothing more. "I'll be in Charlotte for the board meeting, then back tonight." He pocketed the phone. "Who's Meridian?" his daughter asked. "A company we might work with," he said, "for telling people about us." "Like advertising?" "More like strategy." "Oh," she considered. "I think you should just let people fly in your planes and then they'll tell other people." "That's also a strategy," he said. He had no idea, walking toward the private terminal, that Brooke Calloway's flight was already delayed on the departures board, that by the time he reached his gate, it would be canceled entirely. He'd find out soon enough. They all would. 3 hours earlier, Marcus Hayes had been sound asleep when a stuffed penguin landed on his face. Ella had been awake since 5:15, which she considered an accomplishment requiring acknowledgement. She had packed her backpack, selected her travel outfit, which included a cardigan because, she explained at length, airports were cold and people who didn't bring cardigans to airports were making a categorical error, and had carried Mr. Finch into Marcus's room with the stated intention of waking him gently. She sat on his chest. Marcus opened his eyes. Ella was 12 inches from his face, conducting what appeared to be a wellness assessment. "We have a plane," she said. "I'm aware," he said, from somewhere beneath the penguin. "I've been aware since 5. I see that." They ate breakfast at the kitchen table while February dark turned slowly into February morning outside the kitchen window. Ella ate cereal and enumerated the agenda for Grandma Cecilia's house. She was going to teach Cecilia how to draw a penguin. She was going to help in the garden, despite it being too cold for the garden. And she was going to formally request chicken soup, because Grandma Cecilia's chicken soup was, in Ella's documented professional opinion, the single best thing that has ever happened. Marcus made the coffee with the care he'd developed over the past 18 months. The good beans, the right temperature. Nina had been the one who cared about coffee. He'd picked up the habit somewhere in the long fall of the year she died, and now he couldn't put it down. It felt like a continuation of something. He set the mug on the counter and looked at the framed photograph on the shelf above it. Nina in the cockpit of a Cessna 172, age 24, grinning so hard the picture could barely hold it. First solo cross-country. She'd called him from Lubbock that afternoon. He'd been in Austin finishing a business degree he'd eventually abandon, and said, "I think I know what I'm supposed to do. Are you in?" He'd said yes before she finished the sentence. Hayes Aviation Solutions had started with that Cessna and a 2-person client list. Nina's pilot certificate, Marcus's business instinct, and 7 years of fuel costs tracked to the penny and routes mapped on paper before they were ever filed with the FAA. By the time the company carried 14 aircraft across 5 states and employed 41 people, Nina was their strongest asset, their best instructor, and the reason half the staff had applied in the first place. She made every room warmer by being in it. She'd been 36 when they found the tumor, 37 when she died. Marcus had kept the company. Several buyers came in the months after, with offers that were, objectively, fair. He declined all of them. Walking away felt like a second loss he wasn't ready to absorb. He'd promoted from within, brought in Claire as operations director, learned the financial architecture in ways he hadn't needed to when Nina ran it alongside him. He did the board meetings and strategy calls. He let the people who knew what they were doing run the rest. He still flew with Ella when he could arrange it. She'd grown up in the plains, learned to sleep in the cabin, learned to explain turbulence to nervous passengers, learned to love altitude the way her mother had. She talked about Nina the way children do when loss has been handled honestly, directly, without drama, with the particular clarity that sometimes arrived in the middle of otherwise ordinary moments. He helped her find Mr. Finch, who had ended up inside a shoe. He loaded the carry-on. He pressed a travel mug of coffee into the cup holder. "Ready?" he asked. "Ready," Ella confirmed. "Mr. Finch is also ready, in case anyone was conducting a full inventory." They made it to the car and almost to the airport before Marcus checked his messages. The Meridian Strategy Evaluation, 3 months, 4 rounds of assessment, a pitch deck Claire had described as technically very strong, was still pending. The managing partner, a woman named Brooke Calloway, had been following up through their business development team. "Tell Claire I'll call after the Charlotte meeting," he said to his assistant's voicemail, "and pull the final values assessment she sent. I want to look at it tonight." He didn't know that Brooke Calloway was already in DFW, 40 minutes ahead of him. He didn't know she was running through Terminal C right now, or that by the time he reached Concourse B, she would be standing at his own front desk. That part was still 20 minutes away. First, a collision, and 4 scattered crayons. Brooke Calloway's commercial flight was canceled at 9:04 a.m. The gate agent delivered the news with the practiced neutrality of someone who had explained mechanical delays professionally for 9 years. "The next confirmed service to Charlotte is the 6:15 this evening," he said. Brooke stared at him. "That's 9 hours from now." "Yes, ma'am. I have a 2 o'clock presentation. The clients are flying in from New York for this specific meeting. This account represents 4 months of negotiation and the largest engagement in my firm's recent history." She placed both hands on the counter. "I need options. I can place you on standby for the 11:30 through Love Field. Standby is not a confirmed seat." "No, ma'am. Get me your supervisor." The supervisor came. She was composed, professional, and in possession of no options Brooke didn't already have. A pressure system across the eastern corridor had grounded connections throughout the region. The standby list at Lovefield had 16 names ahead of Brooks. There were no confirmed commercial seats available to Charlotte before the weather shifted. Brooke walked to the terminal window. Outside, the tarmac, the planes in their slow, deliberate circuits, the whole indifferent machinery of departure continuing without her. Derek appeared at her shoulder. Phone out. There's a private charter option. Concourse B, private terminal. Hayes Aviation Solutions. They operate regional routes. Charlotte's on their list. Brooke turned. Call them. I'm texting you the address. I said call them. Right now. The Hayes Aviation desk was staffed by James, who had worked the private terminal for 6 years and greeted every inquiry. Reasonable, urgent, hostile, confused, with the same measured competence. He had managed the desk through a hurricane diversion, 2 celebrity charters, and one occasion when a passenger's emotional support parrot had escaped into the Pilatus. He was, by any available measure, unflappable. Brooke set her hands on his counter. I need a charter to Charlotte. Noon departure or sooner. My commercial flight has been canceled, and this is a time-critical business situation. Let me check our morning availability, James said. He typed. He read. We do have a positioning flight heading to Charlotte today. However, Hayes Aviation operates on client account basis. I'd need an existing account number, or we'd need to start an intake. I'm not a current client, Brooke said. I need to become one immediately. What does that require? For a same-day non-client charter, authorization comes from either our operations director or from Mr. Hayes directly. I can reach out. How long does that take? It depends on. Derek. She turned without finishing her sentence. Derek was not behind her anymore. He was standing 2 feet back, looking at his phone with an expression Brooke had never seen from him in 7 years of working together. Brooke, his voice was careful, specific. Look at this. She looked. His screen showed the Hayes Aviation Solutions company profile, aircraft count, routes, founding year, and beneath it, an internal Meridian document, the Q4 Strategic Target List. Page 3, line 4. Hayes Aviation Solutions, priority account. 3-month evaluation in progress. Decision window, current quarter. Brooke looked up from the screen. 3 months, Derek said quietly. Claire has been running the full values evaluation. We're the front runner. The close is this quarter. He gestured at the terminal around them, the logo on the wall, the aircraft visible through the glass doors beyond the desk, the quiet professionalism of the place they were standing in. This is the account. Brooke, we are standing at his front desk asking for a favor. The silence between them had a specific quality. Then we're definitely not getting on this plane, Brooke said. James reappeared. I wasn't able to reach Mr. Hayes directly. He may be in transit. Let me try the operations. His desk phone lit up. He glanced at it and held up one hand. 1 moment. He spoke briefly, turned back. Actually, it appears Mr. Hayes is arriving at the terminal now. The private entrance door, separate from the public concourse, requiring a badge, opened. Marcus Hayes walked in with a girl in 2 braids carrying a stuffed penguin. James looked up, already moving. Mr. Hayes, we weren't expecting you at this entrance. Your aircraft is... Brooke Calloway turned. The recognition came in stages. The concourse, the collision, the coffee on the floor, the crayons in the yellow box. The man she had not stopped for, the man she had told to watch where he was going. He was looking at her. Ella looked up at Marcus and then at Brooke and back. Daddy, she said. Quiet, certain. Is that the lady who dropped your coffee? "It is," Marcus said. "Is she okay? I think she's having a very hard morning." Ella considered this with the gravity of a 7-year-old conducting a full moral assessment. Then she said, "We should help her, Daddy." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. He looked at his daughter. He looked at Brooke Calloway, who was standing at his desk with her hands at her sides and nothing to say for the first time in recent memory. "Okay," he said. "We'll help." He walked to the desk. He didn't look at Brooke directly. He spoke to James. "Add Miss Calloway to the Charlotte positioning flight. Courtesy authorization." "Of course," James said. "We board in 35 minutes. He picked up his carry-on. "There's coffee in the lounge." He walked to the seating area near the windows and sat down with Ella, who immediately opened her coloring book and began to draw. Brooke stood at the desk a moment longer than was comfortable. Her hands were not entirely steady. She walked to the lounge. She poured herself a coffee. She sat down with it and stared at the aircraft through the glass. What she did not yet know, what was still 20,000 feet away, waiting at altitude, was that Marcus had recognized her name the moment James had said it. That he'd been carrying the Meridian pitch deck on his laptop for 3 weeks. That he had already connected the name on the cover to the woman from the concourse before the door behind him had fully closed. He had chosen not to say so. The decision had already been made. Brooke just didn't know which direction it had gone. The Pilatus PC-12 seated 8 comfortably. Today it held 3. Ella had secured the window seat immediately and was arranging Mr. Finch against the glass with the concentration of someone composing a portrait. Maya, the flight attendant who had worked Hayes Aviation for 4 years and knew Ella's name from a half-dozen previous positioning flights, produced apple juice and cheddar crackers from the forward galley without being asked. Ella accepted both with the efficiency of someone who had anticipated exactly this sequence of events. "Thank you, Maya, mister. Finch says thank you also." "Tell him he's very welcome," Maya said. She moved to the galley with the unhurried competence that characterized everyone on Marcus's staff. A quality that had not happened by accident. Brooke sat across the aisle with her laptop open, staring at a deck she was not reading. Marcus sat 1 row back, working through email on his phone. The plane taxied, lifted, and the flat geometry of Dallas fell away below them. At altitude, the engine settled into its cruise note. Ella drew. Marcus sent emails. Brooke closed her laptop and left it closed. "She talks constantly?" Brooke asked. It came out like an observation rather than a complaint. "Almost constantly," Marcus said. "She stops when she's drawing. It's the only reliable pause." "What does she draw?" "You'll find out. She'll tell you when it's done." Brooke watched Ella for a moment. "She seems settled for everything she's been through." "She is," Marcus said. "She works at it. So do we. Her mother was a pilot. She was. Nina built the company with me. Her idea, really. She had the pilot certificate, I had the business training, and she drew the whole plan out on a legal pad one afternoon, and that was that. She'd been flying since she was 22. He looked out his window. The clouds below them were high and flat and unbroken. Ella was 4 when we got the diagnosis. 5 when Nina died. Old enough to remember. Young enough that most of what she remembers is good. A pause. We try to keep it that way. Brooke was quiet. "I'm sorry," she said. "The real kind, not the social kind. Thank you." A beat. Then Ella turned around in her seat, holding the sketch pad with both hands. She'd drawn 2 planes side by side against a sky of layered yellow and blue. Along the bottom, in careful block letters, "For the lady on the plane." "It's for you," Ella said. Brooke reached across and took it. She held it without speaking, which was exactly the right response to something Ella Hayes had made for you. Marcus had observed this phenomenon before. The drawing stopped people in a way that very little else did. "Thank you," Brooke said. "I love it." "The blue one is ours," Ella said. "The other one is yours, for when you have your own plane someday." "I'll work toward that," Brooke said. And she almost meant it as a joke, but it didn't come out that way. Ella nodded seriously and turned back to the window. Brooke set the drawing carefully on the seat beside her. "You knew," she said. "In the terminal. When James said my name." "I did. From the evaluation. The pitch deck. Your name is on the cover." She absorbed that. "You knew the whole time. The concourse, the desk, all of it." "Yes, and you let me on the plane anyway." "My daughter told me to." "But you had already decided to," she said, before she said anything. He didn't confirm or deny. The engine held its note. "The contract," she said. "We've put 3 months into that evaluation. Claire's been thorough. Our deck is strong." She paused. "But the decision's already been made, isn't it?" "It has." She nodded once. She didn't ask which way. She already knew. "I choose partners based on the full picture," Marcus said. "Not just the deliverables. The deck is strong. The strategy is genuinely good. But I talk to the staff at my desk. I talk to gate agents at the airline counters. The way people behave when they're in a hurry and no one important is watching is the full picture. It's the most reliable data set there is." She sat with that. "Derek was dismissive with James at the desk," she said, not asking. "He was. That's on me," she said. "He learned how to be in a room from watching me be in rooms." She looked at the drawing on the seat beside her. 2 planes, side by side. "I've been operating in a mode I'm not proud of for I don't know how long. Long enough that I stopped noticing it." Marcus said nothing. "I started writing a letter 6 months ago," she said. "To myself, actually, about how I want to lead. I've been rewriting it ever since." She looked at him. "I'll send you a version, not as a pitch, just because today made certain things more specific." The Charlotte skyline appeared in the windshield, small, sharp, precise in the clear February air. Below them, the world was getting closer. The consequences of the morning were ready to land. The formal note left Marcus's office at 4:15. Hayes Aviation Solutions would not be moving forward with Meridian Strategy Group for the communications and strategy engagement. 2 years, $2.1 million, renewal options included. The decision had been reached following a full evaluation of firm culture, values alignment, and conduct across multiple touchpoints. The note was 8 sentences. Claire read it, sent it to the Meridian contact, then confirmed Sterling Communications, the competing firm, at 4:45. Sterling had been patient for 3 months. They received the news before 5. Derek Marsh found out from Brooke at 5:30. By phone. He had spent the afternoon quietly building the Q4 projection that included the Hayes account as a confirmed close. He had been preparing the promotion case in his head for 2 weeks, managing partner track, 5-year plan, this account as the centerpiece of everything. The Hayes account was the kind of win that moved careers forward. "We didn't get it," Brooke said. A silence. "What happened?" She was quiet for a moment. "Then, the man we bumped into in Terminal C this morning." Another silence, longer. "The coffee," Derek said. "The guy with the kid. Marcus Hayes. He processed this in stages. That was, yes, he owns the..." Yes, Derek was silent for a long time. Then, with the specific flatness of someone watching a year recalculate in real time, "Okay." Brooke stayed on the line. "I want to be honest with you. He didn't make the call because of the concourse alone. He made it because of how we both carry ourselves in rooms where we think it doesn't count. I've let that go on too long, and you've been in those rooms with me. A pause. I'm sorry for that part. He didn't respond right away. Then, okay. Again. A different kind. She kept the drawing, had it framed by Thursday. Simple frame, small, hung at the left edge of her desk where she could see it from her chair. 2 planes against a yellow and blue sky. Her assistant noticed it and asked about it. Brooke said a kid on a private charter had given it to her. Her assistant said that was unusual. Brooke said yes. The letter she sent Marcus arrived the following Thursday, 10 days after Charlotte. 3 paragraphs, handwritten, plain paper. Not letterhead. Not formatted. No ask anywhere in it. It named what she'd understood in the concourse, what had clarified at altitude, what she was working to change in the rooms where she had influence. It was addressed to him personally. Marcus read it at the end of the day, alone in his office. Dallas going amber through the west facing windows. He put it in the drawer he kept for things that deserved time. He wasn't ready to close the door on Meridian permanently. He'd learned, in the past 18 months, in the ways that loss teaches you, to be careful about decisions you make permanent in the first heat of anything. He'd make a call when it felt right. 3 weeks later, Ella brought home a drawing from art class. Their house, with the big oak tree in front. The workshop in the backyard that she visited on Saturday mornings. And in the upper corner of the sky, small, precisely drawn, clearly intentional, a figure in a cockpit. She had written beneath it, in the careful block letters she used for important things, Mama flying. He had it framed immediately. Hung it on the office wall where he could see it from his chair, next to the photo of Nina at 24 in the Cessna, grinning so hard at the horizon. 2 women in 2 cockpits. One gone, one in everything he'd built from her absence, both still very much in the room. He was getting better at building things that lasted, at making sure the people worth keeping knew it. At choosing correctly in the moments that turned out to matter, the small ones, the invisible ones, the ones happening in airport concourses while a 7-year-old narrated a nature documentary and a penguin waited patiently under one arm. Ella knocked on his office door that evening. Pajamas. Missed. Finch, the expression of someone who had a question of some significance. "Daddy," she said. "Did the lady on the plane get to her meeting?" He thought about this. "I think so." "Good," she considered. "Mr. Finch thinks she'll be nicer now. Mr. Finch may be right." Ella assessed this. Seemed satisfied. "Okay," she said. "Good night," she turned. "Good night, Bug." He listened to her go down the hall. He listened to the house settle around him, the particular quiet of 2 people in rooms, the dog moving somewhere, the refrigerator's hum. Outside, the February cold was finally beginning to ease. Something had started turning that looked, maybe, like spring.